Hi everybody, Waiting Moose here to do another video for BookTube and Vlogmas. I hope your holidays are going great. Today I just want to do a book chat. It's probably not going to take long because I haven't really spent a lot of time planning what I was going to talk about. If you remember, before I went on vacation I said that I had done all of, oh maybe I didn't. Before I went on vacation I worked some Excel magic. My to-read list was well over 3,000 books. I think it was like 3,300 plus books on my to-read list. Now this year I read an unheard of and never happened before and will never happen again, almost 300 books. I think I'm at 282 books for the year. You add up those numbers, it was insurmountable. There was no way that I would ever be able to read all of those books. It was time for me to prioritize and start looking at the books that were on there. So I exported my Goodreads list, opened it up in Excel, did a bunch of magic, made some pivot tables because I'm a nerd. Sorry, I should stop playing with things because then I look down at my phone. I filtered by to read for the primary folder shelf that it's on, and then I moved that like those to another page, and I brought over the author, the publisher, the number of pages, and when I added it to the list, oh, and its average rating on Goodreads. And I brought that over to Goodreads. And the first thing I did was I started trying to reduce this in the easiest ways possible. And I had to make some decisions to do that. I started out making the decision that I don't want to focus on young adult books. I will read them, but I don't want to focus on them. So what I decided my to-read list would be is books that I absolutely want to read and focus on reading. I want to make an effort to read these books. Obviously, I don't want to make an effort to read 3,300 books. That's ridiculous. So I looked at it and I took out everything young adult. It's not what I want to focus on. Again, if I come across them, if I'm like scrolling through Overdrive one day and I come across the Legend series by Marie Lu, I'll download it and read it if that's what I'm in the mood for at the time, but I'm not going to seek it out and make it a book that I absolutely have to read. Everything that I removed from my to-read list, I have to keep reminding myself this. As I did it, it's like, but I want to read that. But I don't. Or maybe I don't. Because when I get around to actually getting a chance to read it, I don't. I took a look at the list of books that I had. I removed young adult books. I went in and I took a look at the series that I have been reading and whether or not I really wanted to continue with them. There were a few series that I just went, nah, done. I have not liked the last few books in this series. Look at the things I said about them in the reviews. Time to cut those. I took out a lot of fantasy because, especially urban fantasy. So I'm a huge fan of urban fantasy. I like Jim Butcher. I like Mike Carey. I have a ton of series in the urban fantasy and high fantasy genres that I want to get to. So what I did was I decided to prioritize them and figure out which series I absolutely want to read. I've heard so many good things about Jane Yellowrock that I kept it for now. The Jacqueline Carey Cushill's Dart series, kept it for now. Nalini Singh's Psy Changeling series, kept it for now because I've heard so many good things about it. So Chloe Neal's Chicagoland Vampires, kept it. So I didn't like make a mass cut of everything, but I made a sort of a tiered list, and I started looking at what I want to read in 2016 and or 2017, and which ones I absolutely want to keep on my list for going forward. I may not get to them in 2017, but I want to get to them. So there's things like, you know, the Longmire series. I want to finish it. I've read 4 books in the series, 3 or 4 books in the series, and there's 11 or 12. I've got a lot of books to read to finish that or get caught up on that. I made some really tough calls. And then I looked at my cozy mysteries. Don't think that YA and fantasy are the only ones that got hit. I took a look at cozy mysteries and I decided that I'm spending a lot of time on cozy mysteries that are hard for me to get. They're out of print. They're not readily available at my library. I have to order them and sometimes I have to wait a really long time to get them. If I was not already reading the series or had not already read books by the author and loved them, they got cut. Again, doesn't mean I won't ever read them. I can find them again. They're on Goodreads. But I cut I actually have some that I kept because I own the books and I went, okay, if I own the books, I'll keep them on my to-read list. So I cut so many books based on that. And then at one point I did I'm going to read the 1001 books to read before you die list. I made the decision that I'm not actively seeking out to do that. If I come across the books and read them, hooray. If someday I'm trying to find something to read and I'm looking for something different, I might look up that list and make a call and find one of the books and add it to my list to read, but I'm not actively seeking those out to read because I can't. There are so many books, and just watching BookTube, I mean, I can't watch you guys talk about video. I can't watch you guys talk about books without wanting to add all of these books to my pages or my to-read list. And I can't keep doing that. I can't sustain that level of books getting added to my to-read list. I feel stressed. I do things like 300 books in a year, almost 300 books in a year, which was stupid. It was a ridiculous thing to do this year. My husband's like, you need to not do that next year. So there's that. I took a look at science fiction and I decided that I did not want to actively seek reading those. So I didn't want to have, because what I find is let me just back up here a bit again. What I find is when I go into a bookstore or a thrift store or the library, I'm concerned with reading what's on my TBR because it was so big. So I would go in there and I'd be like, oh, this book looks really good. Is it on my TBR? Not on my TBR. I can add it to my TBR, but I really shouldn't be reading it today. I was stupid. So I was picking up these books and I was like wanting to read them when I picked them up, and I didn't pick them up and take them home with me. It was stupid. I want to narrow down that TBR list to books I absolutely want to read, because I don't want to feel the pressure of this massive TBR that's hanging over my head of books I don't even remember putting on there. Or I don't know the author. I've never read anything by them. I just added it because someone else read it and it looked interesting at the time on that day. So there was a lot that I was able to do. I took this list, I printed it out. It was 32 pages. So I printed it double-sided, tiny print. And that was one of the things I took on vacation with me. So on the last day of our vacation, when I was struggling to pay attention to books, and I was kind of staring around because it was my last day looking at palm trees, I took this list out and I started going through it. And it was easier when I'm just looking at titles and author names, because I would look at it and be like, I don't remember anyone talking about that. Like, I have never heard anyone talk about this book. And so I started crossing things out, and then there were some that I put a question mark beside because I'm like, that sounds interesting, but I don't know why I added it. So I went through, and this morning was actually my day, Sunday. You're not going to see this on Sunday, but anyway. So I went through Goodreads, I went through Goodreads, and I started deleting them. Unfortunately, in doing that, I apparently was not paying attention once. And I accidentally deleted 2 books that I read this year. Oops. So that was a bummer. Not really what I was intending to do. Don't know which ones they were. So I'm short a couple books now, but that's okay. It's not about the number of books I read this year. Well, it sort of was, but anyway. If I deleted them, obviously they weren't meant to be. But anyway, so I went through and I deleted. Previously, I was at 3,300 and some books. Before I went on vacation, I got that down to 2,354 or something like that, which was still a ridiculous number of books. And today my goal with this list that I went through in the Dominican, was to get it under 1,500. I failed. But I'm happy to say that I've cut my list almost in half. So I started out at 3,300 and some books. I am now down to 1,700 and some books on my to-read list. I'm so excited because I feel like I've weeded out a lot of the weight. I've taken some weight off of that. I still have a ridiculous number of books on that list that I want to read, and I don't know why. So this year, the next thing I'm going to do is print out that list again. Now that I've done all my editing, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my Excel thing again, and I'm going to print the list again of my to-read list, maybe picking some different things, maybe the year it was published, the year, whatever. I have to go through it again and try to weed out more books until I can get. It'd be awesome if I could get under 1,000 books on that to-read list. I'd feel like I could actually get it done someday. Like, do you feel like that? Do you feel like you're like overwhelmed by all of the books that you have to read? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one that's like an internet hoarder. I need all these books. Ah! I actually own them, but I need them on my to-read list. I'm never going to read them. But I do, and now I have to go through and start prioritizing which ones do I want to read in 2017. So that's going to be my 2017 reads, goals, I guess. I have to really look at that. I have to look at what I can get on audiobook, because a lot of what I'm going to read next year is going to be from audiobook. It's just the nature of my reading these days. And I need to really focus on that. I've noticed that I've added a lot of diverse choices, so I'm excited about that. I'll be picking up some more of those. I want to get, anyway, that's another video. I won't get into that. Anyway, do you feel the same way? Do you feel like you're overwhelmed with your to-read list? And how do you manage that? Because I have not been doing a good job of managing my to-read list, and I need to do a better job. It's taken me days to get, 1,500 books taken off my to-read list, or 1,600 books taken off my to-read list. And I mean, that's time I could have spent reading. There's better ways to take books off a to-read list. Anyway, I want to hear your thoughts on this, because honestly, I'm failing at managing my to-read list, and I'd like some better ideas on how to do it, what you do. How do you keep yourself from adding every book to your to-read list? Because I have a really bad habit of, I've read a book, I like, oh, that was great, and it's like, oh, books similar to this are these, and I'll add them because they're similar, but I never get around to reading them. So anyway, look forward to hearing from you in the comments. Other than that, I am Waiting Moose, and I can't wait to do another video for you guys. Merry Vlogmas, happy holidays.